Shri Amarjeet Singh took charge as whole-time member, Securities and Exchange Board of India SEBI in Mumbai on September 1, 2023. Before this assignment, he was Executive Director at SEBI. With nearly 3 decades of service at SEBI, Shri Singh has wide experience in the regulation and supervision of securities markets. He has headed the Market Regulation Department, Corporation Finance Department, Office of Chairman, Office of International Affairs, and has held various portfolios at SEBI. Shri Singh has been involved in various international regulatory initiatives. He has acted as Sherpa for SEBI's representation on the board of the International Organization of Securities Commissions during 2010 to 2017. He played a leadership role in the assessment committee of ISCO from its formation in 2012 till 2018. He was vice chair from 2012 to 2016 and chair from 2016 to 2018. Shri Singh has represented SEBI in various committees of SEBI, RBI, and the Government of India. Shri Singh, an MBA, holds a master's degree in International Affairs, Economic Policy Management from Columbia University, USA. He is a recipient of the Rotary Foundation Educational Award 2000 for promoting leadership development and international understanding by Rotary International USA, and the Joint Japan World Bank Graduate Scholarship Award 2001-2002. Distinguished guests, please put your hands together as I now invite Shri Amarjeet Singh on the dais to deliver the keynote address.
Very kind and generous introduction. Good afternoon. So I'm just thinking, all the industry veterans are here and you've already had, I'm sorry I spoiled the discussion. I wish there was more time for them to answer all the questions. So I'm just wondering what more can I add, than coming from all these very, very experienced people. But nonetheless, I've been asked to do a keynote. And actually, Nilesh Bhai gave me no choice. He said, you have to come. So, but I thank Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Mr. Nilesh Shah for inviting me. It's a pleasure. So, I think it's a very, very relevant theme, and I compliment the organizers for choosing this theme. As we all know, mutual funds have become an integral part of the investment landscape and are playing a very key role in channelizing savings into investments and contributing to the growth of our economy. If I can, go back a few decades, in the sense that let me share that I started working with SEBI almost 3 decades ago, and this is the vision which SEBI had right from early days, that mutual funds are very important investment vehicles for especially the people who are entering the market for the first time. So either they should come through the mutual fund route, or maybe they can get the taste of equity investing by subscribing to IPOs. But mutual funds was clearly a very, very important priority for us right from early days. So it's very gratifying for me personally, to see that vision fructify in some sense in my career span. So it's very nice to see this industry grow in a very calibrated, very calculated manner, with keeping all the safety issues in mind, since it involves a lot of retail investors. So in my remarks, what I would like to do is, very briefly, I'd like to touch upon three aspects. One is some observations from the trends that we are witnessing, and I'm sure you would already know that, most of it. Second is, I would touch upon some governance-related aspects relating to the industry. And thirdly, let me very briefly mention about some of the recent steps that we've taken, or some steps that are in the pipeline. So let me start with the key trends, some data points. So first is the penetration of mutual funds. So the growth has been very, very remarkable, with more than 5.5 times increase in AUM within a span of 10 years. industry AUM as on September 30, 2023 is INR 46.5 trillion rupees. So we are getting close to 50 trillion mark sometime soon, hopefully. So that would be a big landmark. Increase in digital penetration, eases of onboarding and investing, greater investor awareness are all factors that have facilitated this growth. SIPs have also been instrumental in attracting retail investors. In the month of September 2023, SIP contribution was over INR 160 billion or 16,000 crore. And over twofold increase if you compare this data with what was SIP in the, let's say, 2018. So I have a number here. September 2018 number was INR 77.3 billion, so which is 7,700 odd crores. So clearly a twofold increase in 5 years. And if you look at the geographical mix, the AUM from B30 cities as a percentage of total AUM has increased from 16% to 18% in the past 4 years. And in other words, if you analyze it further, the percentage increase in B30 AUM is 110%, outstripping the growth in industry AUM of 90%. And for equity scheme, the numbers are even more impressive. The growth is higher at 166%. Let me also, mention another relevant data point, more in the larger context. So, and this kind of fascinates me in the sense of what is the road ahead? What is the potential going forward? So if you look at the size of our economy is 3.73 trillion US dollars today, and the mutual fund AUM to GDP ratio is around 16%. So somebody in the audience asked about comparison of the US market and the Indian market. So I was checking that on some time back. So if I remember the numbers correctly, US economy was at the same $3.73 trillion number back in 1983, and their AUM to GDP, their GDP was about 7%. So our number today is actually 16%. It is not apple to apple comparison, but clearly our growth has been very impressive. It looks better than if you go back 40 years, US market, whatever growth they had achieved. Our mutual fund growth seems to be higher. So coming back to the point I was trying to make, our size of our economy is 3.73 trillion, and the mutual fund AUM to GDP ratio is around 16%, whereas the global average of this ratio of AUM to GDP is around 75%. So similarly, according to estimates, the number of individual investors in Indian stock market, both mutual funds and demat accounts taken together, as a percentage of total population, our population is around 7%, whereas the US, if you compare with the developed market, number is as high as 55%. So we have, short point of these numbers and statistics is that we've come a long way, but we still have a lot of runway here. We have huge potential to grow this industry further. So while the mutual fund industry is expanding its reach beyond the major cities, around 53% of the industry AUM comes from the top 5 cities. So that shows the concentration, although it is getting better. Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune and Kolkata. So there are over 4 crore unique investors in mutual funds, which is a fraction of the working age population. So there is a significant opportunity for mutual funds to tap into household savings and across the demographic and across various regions, both in terms of age profile of the population and also the location of the population in different cities. Let me move to the second aspect around the governance of AMCs. So my take is that once more and more retail money comes in, the the need for good governance also goes up. Because the point is, and we've seen it in the past, that once the retail investors come in, they repose certain amount of trust and faith in the market. And if that trust and faith is disturbed, then they withdraw from that particular segment of the market, and it's very difficult to get them back. So I think in that sense, it is responsibility of all the stakeholders, including regulators, industry, and so on, investors, to make sure that this trust and faith which is required is not disturbed, and that is why you need good governance. So just to add to what I was trying to say, that digitization and the spread of information through social media has ensured that it does not take much time for negative news to spiral and reputations to be adversely affected. Past experience has shown that once trust in the markets is lost, it takes a long time to rebuild it. Since mutual funds have a very small ticket size, it could be as low as INR 100 to 500, it is even more critical to maintain the trust and faith of investors. So ensuring strong corporate governance practices and transparency within the industry, within the mutual fund industry, will be crucial for future growth. So SEBI has taken several policy measures for strengthening governance and oversight of mutual funds, including mandating the constitution of audit committees of AMCs. We've also mandated, and this is again unique, mandated the constitution of a unique unit holder protection committee by the board of the AMC, with a focus on unit holders protection, including adoption of healthy practices in terms of sales, advertisement, investor awareness, etc. Another dimension of the governance, that is, I would like to talk a little bit about stewardship code and the stewardship responsibility. World over, we are seeing increasing focus on the stewardship responsibility of institutional investors and the introduction of stewardship code across markets. So India's experience with stewardship code began in 2010 when mutual funds were encouraged to disclose their voting policies and actual exercise of votes in respect of certain corporate governance matters. In fact, Mr. Navneet very rightly observed, some of the regulatory practices that we have in our country, and this is also one of those. We are ahead of the curve when it comes to comparison with other markets. So we introduced a mandatory I want to underline because that's unique to our market, mandatory stewardship code in 2019. The aim of the code is twofold: strengthening institutional investors' accountability with regard to client investments, along with enhancing their role in holding company boards and management, and hold the management accountable. We've also made voting compulsory for mutual funds in India. As a result of these measures, the profile of engagement between the institutional investors and companies is now growing, and I have some numbers to demonstrate that. Voting data for Nifty 500 companies for 2022 shows that institutional investors polled 83.57% of the shares they own. So voting was done in respect of 83.57% holding, marginally more than 82.26% which voted last year in the previous year. And of these votes cast, 93.68% were in favor of the proposed resolutions, while 6.31% were against, which is a slight increase from 4.51% in 2021. So this number is, although small, but important. So where the fund houses disagreed with the proposals which were brought to the AGMs. So the number was 4.51% in 2021, which became 6.31% where they voted against. So as shareholder activism continues to gain momentum in our country, it can drive further improvements in corporate governance. I believe this will be an interesting area to watch for some constructive outcomes. Let me now move to the third part of my address. That is, what are the steps taken by SEBI in the recent past and what are some steps which are in the pipeline. So one area which I want to touch upon is the area of passive funds. So we've seen a very remarkable growth in passive funds in the last 4 years. The number of index funds and ETFs have increased by over 3 times, and the corresponding AUM has increased by almost 5 times. As on September end 2023, there are 374 index funds and ETFs with an AUM of INR 7.7 trillion as compared to 112 such schemes with an AUM of INR 1.59 trillion as on September end 2019. So it's a massive jump from 2019 to 2023. It's quite remarkable. Considering the advantages of passive investing like transparency and lower costs for investors, SEBI has introduced major policy initiatives for the development of the passive fund ecosystem, including introduction of ELSS in passive fund category, mandating the maintenance of tracking error below a specified threshold, etc. Since the current mutual fund regulation or the regulatory framework was built around active funds, we are also working on the possibility of introducing MF Lite regulations for passive funds where investment decisions are not discretionary. Let me move to the other area. In fact, this is what we announced yesterday. We've yesterday issued a simplified format of the scheme information document, SID, that will enhance ease of its preparation by mutual funds and increase its readability for investors. The new format of the SID contains 2 sections. Section 1 contains scheme-specific information that is dynamic, while Section 2 contains more detailed information including on regulatory provisions. The new format of the SID will be implemented from April 1, 2024. Existing SIDs shall be updated in the new format by April 30, 2024. So there's enough time to move to the new system. Let me move to the next step. Of course, it's not a new one. Many of you would already know, but let me again say that this is also a very unique initiative which has been taken in our markets, and it is probably not there in any other market that I can think of. So it's a backstop facility. In order to instill confidence amongst participants in the corporate bond market, especially during times of stress, we've set up what is called the Corporate Debt Market Development Fund, which was launched as a backup facility. So this development fund, CDMDF, is in the form of a AIF, Alternate Investment Fund, which is registered with SEBI. Fund would be eligible to take credit based on guarantee of 10 times of corpus, subject to a maximum of INR 30,000 crore, backed by NGCTC, National Credit Guarantee Trust Company, under Department of Economic Affairs. The fund is in, and I'm happy to share this, the fund is in advanced stage of operationalization. Board of Trustees has been constituted, members of the governance committee have been appointed, and the contribution of mutual funds and AMCs towards building the initial corpus of the fund has also been received very recently. Let me move to the next one in my list, and I believe this is, maybe one more. EOP framework. This is execution-only platforms for direct plans of mutual fund scheme. Idea here is that you need to balance investors' protection with investors' convenience, and this framework also ensures ease of doing business for the EOPs, since they will need to comply with only those regulatory compliances as is required for their EOP activity. Under this framework, EOPs shall be granted registration under either of the 2 categories. Category 1, EOP as an agent of AMC, registered with AMFI, or Category 2, EOP as an agent of investors, registered as a stockbroker. Having multiple avenues available for investment in direct plans is expected to further galvanize efforts of penetration of mutual funds. The last point in my list is investments through ESG schemes. In order to encourage ESG investing and in view of the need for green financing, SEBI has permitted the launch of multiple schemes on ESG related factors. So going forward, we hope to see more traction in this area. Finally, to conclude, it is evident that the mutual fund industry has come a long way and is evolving and growing at an impressive pace. However, I would urge that let's not be complacent. We should not be complacent. And good governance, as I pointed out, the significance, especially in the context of rising retail numbers, right conduct, transparency, and innovation will be key in shaping this industry's future trajectory. And all the stakeholders should work collectively towards these ends. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Singh, for that wonderful session. I would like to invite Mr. Nilesh Shah, Past President, Bombay Chamber, and Group President, Managing Director, Kotak Mahindra AMC, to present a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion and for that informative session.